Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Wade's Movie World. Of course, you know me. I'm Wade. Okay, this video was actually a requested video from one of my loyal viewers and a person who commented on my last Star Trek The Next Generation video and asked me to do a video on my best or favorite episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. And so I thought, you know what? That would probably make a really good video. So I intend to do that with this video. I don't know how many of you out there have watched Star Trek The Next Generation, but if you have not, I implore you to do so. It is such a great, fantastic space exploration, just an all around good family show. I can't say enough about it. I had a great time with it. I have started watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I've only watched the two episode pilot episode, which is called Emissary Part 1, Emissary Part 2. I'm not quite into it just yet. I'm hopeful that I'll be more into it as the series goes along, but it's kind of started rough for me. But hopefully it gets better. So, anyway, all right, enough about Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Let's talk about Star Trek The Next Generation. My favorite episodes. Okay, these are not episodes from anybody else, just me. Okay, so you may like them, you may disagree with my choices, and that's okay. And what I implore you to do, ladies and gentlemen, is make your list of your favorite episodes down in the comments below so I can see, if you agree with some of my choices or if you don't agree with some of my choices. What are some of your favorite episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation? Okay. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is from season one. It's episode 16, When the Bow Breaks. A planet that was able to cloak itself for thousands of years suddenly reveals itself with its inhabitants proposing peace. But after initial negotiations, children of the Enterprise are kidnapped due to infertility of the inhabitants. I thought it was a really good episode, and it kind of shows the growth of Wesley Crusher and how he has to step up in this situation to, calm the other children, the younger children, and make sure that they get back to the Enterprise safely. And it's one of my favorite episodes because it shows Jean-Luc Picard's heart for children. Even though he's a, hard-nosed captain, he still has a heart for the little ones, and I liked that. Still in season one, episode 22, Skin of Evil. So when Counselor Troy is held captive on a deserted planet by a slick, black, oily, sentient, and immortal puddle of evil. So on the Enterprise, an away team is sent down to help rescue Troy, which takes the life of a valuable member of the Enterprise crew. That was a really, really good episode, an edge of your seat type of episode. And you knew just by the way it was going, something bad was going to happen, that someone, or maybe more than one person of the away team, was not going to get out of there alive. And that happened. I'm not going to tell you who it is. If you've watched the show, you already know. If you haven't watched Star Trek The Next Generation, then I'm not going to spoil it for you. But yeah, Skin of Evil, that was a really good episode. In season two now, season two, episode one, The Child. Counselor of the Enterprise, Deanna Troi, is impregnated by an unknown alien life form and has a child, a little boy named Andrew, who ages rapidly. Dr. Catherine Pulaski joins the Enterprise as the ship's new chief medical officer. Wesley Crusher gets some advice from Commander Riker and Guinan in 10 Forward regarding love and relationships. The second part of that episode was, yeah, I didn't really particularly care for the Wesley Crusher, Guinan, and Riker stuff in 10 Forward. I was more concerned about the initial story, which was the alien life form impregnating Deanna Troi, and then her having this little boy who ages rapidly. I thought, wow, what an incredible episode. What a kind of a pulse pounding episode, knowing that, as fast as this kid is aging, that by the time the episode's over, this child is not going to be alive anymore. And so you just, it was kind of a tug at your heartstrings episode. There was an episode like this. I cannot remember which season it was, of Smallville, in which somehow Lana and Clark become the parents of a little boy who they find who ages rapidly, and he considers Clark and Lana his parents. But by the end of the episode, he dies. So, yeah, The Child. What a really great episode. Season 2, Episode 9, The Measure of a Man. When Data resigns his commission, rather than be dismantled for examination by an inadequately skilled scientist, a formal hearing is convened to determine whether Data is considered property without rights or is a sentient being. That was an interesting episode. I liked the episode. I could see where they were going with it. Yes, Data is a machine, but at the same time, there are times when he does feel like he is human and you can kind of see his humanity come out. So is he a sentient being or is he just a machine? That's one of those episodes where it really makes you think. Being that Data is a machine, I still consider him a viable crew member, human or not, of the Enterprise. So, yeah, a really good episode. A make you think episode. Season 2, Episode 17, Samaritan Snare. With Captain Picard away for routine surgery, the Enterprise responds to an apparent distress call from a Pekled vessel. I don't remember a lot about this episode. All I remember is that Captain Jean-Luc Picard had to go away from the Enterprise for some surgery, and they start having some problems during the surgical procedure. And so Dr. Catherine Pulaski is called to assist in the surgery. And Picard wakes up and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And she just kind of says something snarky and, you know, it's like, "Well, couldn't let you do this alone," or something to that effect. I don't remember what it was, but I remember I thoroughly enjoyed that part of the episode. Season 3, Episode 1, Evolution. Wesley Crusher's latest science project escapes the lab, threatening the Enterprise and an eminent scientist's lifelong project. I remember bits and pieces of this episode. I don't remember the whole meat of it or how it ends, but I do remember like small scenes here and there of this particular episode. I remember it was a good episode. I did enjoy it, but not one that was particularly memorable. Season 3, Episode 5, The Bonding. A startling surprise awaits the crew of the Enterprise when a mission led by Lieutenant Worf costs the life of a crew member who leaves behind her almost teenage son. That was a really good episode, kind of a heartbreaking episode, of this little boy whose mother is killed on an away team, and it was led by Worf, and now Worf tries to go to this lady's son and help him to deal with her death. And he helps him in a Klingon type way. It's really a beautiful episode. I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought everybody was really, really on their A game as far as their acting goes. I thought the story was uh, a bittersweet story. And yeah, just a really good episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. Season 3, Episode 7, The Enemy. Geordie LaForge gets left behind on a storm-plagued planet when the rest of his team encounters a Romulan warrior. I think this is the same episode that I'm thinking about is when Geordie LaForge is left behind and there is a storm and he's like either in this cave or in this hole and he can't get out and he runs into someone else in that cave or in that hole and they have to work together to get out. It was a really good episode. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Season 3, Episode 15, Yesterday's Enterprise. This is probably a favorite among fans everywhere. It's when the Enterprise C enters the Enterprise D's timeline and the space continuum where they find Picard and the crew in a constant state of war with Klingons, and the only one who knows that something is wrong is Guinan, that this is not how things are supposed to be on the Enterprise. Yeah, just a really, really heart pounding episode, kind of an edge of your seat episode, thinking, well, are they going to ever get back to their time? And Is the Enterprise D ever going to return to what it's supposed to be, not what it's happening with it right now? Just a really, really good episode, one that I thoroughly enjoyed. Season 3, episode 26, The Best of Both Worlds. Now, this is where things get interesting in Star Trek The Next Generation. When responding to a distress call on one of the Federation's outermost colonies, the Enterprise arrives only to find a big hole in the ground where the town used to be and discovers the Borg are behind the attack. So, this is where the Borg really shows up. Season 4, Episode 1, The Best of Both Worlds, Part 2. So, that was a two-parter episode. This is the second part. Having absorbed Captain Picard and his knowledge, the Borg head for Earth, leaving Riker and the Enterprise desperate for an unanticipated way to defeat them. Yeah, so this is the one where Captain Picard becomes a Borg. They have to not only, save the Earth, but they have to save themselves and somehow save Captain Picard and, you know, make him human the way he used to be again and get all the Borg stuff, out of his head. Season 4, Episode 2, Family. After defeating the Borg, the crew of the Enterprise experiences shore leave in various ways, and Captain Picard's return to his family's vineyard in France has some extraordinary repercussions. I just remember bits and pieces of this episode. I don't remember the full episode per se, but I remember it was a good episode. May not have been the best episode, but it was one of the good ones. Season 4, Episode 5, Remember Me. Dr. Crusher's fear of losing loved ones becomes real when her worries create an alternate reality where Dr. Crusher at one point becomes the only crew member on board the Enterprise. I remember this one. This was a scary episode. Not scary in the terms of like horror scary, but just like reality scary. Like, we're all gonna disappear or die someday. And she is worrying, Dr. Beverly Crusher is worrying that, all her friends and her family are going to be dead and she's going to be the only one left. And at one point on the Enterprise, she becomes the only one left on this huge starship. And talk about creepy. That would freak me out. That'd be like Ellen Ripley being the last one left alive on that big Nostromo trying to get out with, something she doesn't know chasing her. Yeah, good episode. Scary episode, but good episode. Season 4, Episode 14, Clues. The effects of passing through a wormhole give the Enterprise crew a sense that they were unconscious for more than 30 seconds than they've been led to believe. I do remember this episode. It was a good episode. It really captured my attention, but I don't remember a lot of the meat of it for some reason. I don't know why. I guess I should have gone back and watched these before I made this list, but oh well. Season 5, Episode 5, Disaster. I remember this is one of my favorite episodes. Collision with a quantum filament leaves Troy in charge of a damaged and endangered Enterprise with emergency bulkheads cutting off sections of the ship. Captain Picard is trapped in a different part of the ship with three children who help him try to get the ship back online. That was really good because we got to see Captain Picard again interact with children, but these children become more than just children. They become members of his crew who help him in various different ways get the Enterprise back online and get everyone back to safety and back to their quarters or their stations and where they need to be to get the Enterprise out of danger. Really good episode. The kids' performances were amazing. The cast performances were amazing. Just all around great story, great effects, great acting. Everything was great about this episode. Loved it. Season 5, Episode 6, The Game. Wesley Crusher returns to the Enterprise on vacation from the Academy only to discover a mysterious alien game infiltrating and controlling the crew. This was a weird episode. I enjoyed the episode, but it was, oh man, it was just weird. Um, I remember going back and watching it a second time just to kind of get my head around it. It's kind of hard to explain, really, but it is an enjoyable episode, and it's a kind of a edge of your seat nail biter episode, which I do enjoy those. Season 5, Episode 7, Unification Part 1. Picard and Data follow Spock into Romulan space on a dangerous mission. Season 5, Episode 8, Unification Part 2. On Romulus, Picard finds Spock as well as an underground peace movement, a double agent, a bold ulterior motive against the Federation, and a familiar adversary. The only thing really that I liked about this one was the fact that Leonard Nimoy as Spock returned. I don't remember much about the conflict or the story of this episode. Um, I just remember mainly the characters and the performances, which were really good. So, yeah. Season 5, Episode 11, Hero Worship. Data rescues an orphan boy named Timmy from a damaged ship. As a way to repress his own pain, Timothy begins to mimic Data's personality. That was actually a really good episode. At the end, the boy actually helps the Enterprise escape danger from something that happened on his own ship. And then I don't remember him actually mimicking Data per se, maybe taking a liking to him, yes, but not really, you know, doing his mannerisms. Maybe you need to go watch that just in case I'm forgetting something. Um, but it was a good episode. It was one that I'd definitely watch again, so I consider it one of my favorites. Season 5, Episode 18, Cause and Effect. The Enterprise gets caught in a time loop, which always has one result: the total destruction of the ship itself. I remember this episode. I don't remember a lot of what happens in between, but I remember it kept my attention for the majority of the episode. One thing I will say is, seems like shows like this always have an episode that deals with getting caught in a time loop. It reminded me of that season 7 episode of Agents of Shield, where the Zephyr 1 gets caught in a time loop. So, yeah, very reminiscent to that episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, Episode 19, The First Duty. Wesley Crusher's team has an accident at Starfleet Academy, and Picard offers to help a Starfleet investigation as to what happened and begins to suspect they're hiding something. That was a really good episode because Wesley's Crusher's team did make a mistake and they got someone killed, and they were willing to hide it or cover it up. And Wesley knew better than to hide something from Captain Picard, knowing that he would eventually find it. And I remember thinking through the whole thing, I was like, Wesley's not telling the whole truth. I mean, he's lying to Captain Picard. He better come clean, or else Picard's going to have his ass. So, a really good episode. And I was glad Picard came down on him because, you know, people died and they need to be held accountable. Season 5, Episode 22, Imaginary Friend. This is one of my favorites. A powerful, potentially dangerous energy life form intent on scouting out the Enterprise steps into the role of a little girl's imaginary friend. Great episode, great acting by the kids, great story all around. And the girl who played the imaginary friend, I've seen her in other things, but the one thing that comes to mind that she was in, she played Elizabeth in Ernest Scared Stupid. And she did a really good job in Star Trek and in Ernest. So good acting on her part. And like I said, the story was magnificent. Loved it. Season 5, Episode 23, I, Borg. The Enterprise finds a lone Borg drone separated from the collective and brings him aboard the Enterprise. The drone begins to reassert his individuality, but his presence causes differing levels of fear and sympathy from various members of the crew. Season 5, Episode 24, The Next Phase. A transporter malfunction combined with a Romulan ship under distress and a damaged cloaking device creates the illusion that Ensign Ro and Geordi are dead, but Geordi doesn't believe it, so he acts accordingly. That was a good episode. So basically, Geordi and Ro were kind of in between this state of being beamed to and from the Enterprise, but they didn't reach the destination or the destination back, and so they're kind of in this in between area. They could see everything going on around them, but no one could see them. And it's one of those episodes where you're like, oh my god, how the hell are they going to fix this? How are they going to let anybody know that, hey, we're still alive? But yeah, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Season 5, Episode 25, The Inner Light. Picard awakes to find himself living in a small village where he is a well known member of the community who is suffering from a delusion of being a starship captain. I remember bits and pieces of this episode, and I don't remember, what makes him fall asleep and then make him think that he's, not himself. He's living as this person in this small village, but yet he's having these delusions of being a starship captain. It's kind of a weird episode. It was a good episode, but it was a weird episode. Season 6, Episode 7, Rascals, an emergency beam out renders 4 crewmen down to childhood shortly before renegade Ferengi take over the Enterprise and offload the adults. This was a really good and really funny episode, one that I thoroughly enjoyed and will probably watch again. During the beam out, it renders Captain Picard, Ensign Ro, Guinan, and Kiko O'Brien are regressed physiologically to the age of 12-year-olds by the transporter accident. And it was really interesting to see these characters portrayed as tweens or kind of young children, especially by Ro and Guinan, the two girls who played them were just really funny. I thought the boy who played Picard was really good. I don't remember how the girl who played Kiko was. I think she did good. She probably did good. I can't remember it, but an all around fun episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. Season 7, Episode 12, Riker finds out his former commander from the starship Pegasus has orders that entail more than what is revealed to Picard, who thinks the Enterprise is en route to recover the lost ship. Riker is ordered to secrecy by his former commander. This one was a very tense episode in which we see Riker in a very bad dilemma as to whether he should follow his old captain, trust his crew now, and his captain now, which is Picard, and come clean to Picard about what's really going on. You see that he still has respect for his old commander until a certain point, and then it breaks, and then all hell breaks loose at the very end, and we see the fallout and consequences from that. So, yeah, really kind of nail biting episode, if you will, from members of the crew in this one. Season 7, Episode 15, Lower Decks. A mission of the Enterprise is seen through the eyes of some junior officers who are up for promotions as questions of duty and honor arise among some of them, such as a Bajoran woman Worf has designated to be promoted to operations. This was a really good episode in which we see what some are willing to do to become officers and be promoted to officer positions on board the Enterprise if they're willing to tell the whole truth about themselves or leave some things hidden in the past which could come back to bite them. And for some of them, that happens. Season 7, Episode 16, Thine Own Self. This is one of my favorites. Data is sent to follow a probe that has drifted off course and crashed on a primitive planet, only to crash on the planet himself with no memory of any event prior to crashing on the planet's surface. So he crashes and has no idea who he is or what he's doing there or what he has in his possession. And this small town on the planet, wherever it is, comes to his aid and kind of helps him get back to his old self and nurses him back to health. But they don't know he's an android or a Starfleet officer until much later. And all of a sudden, people in the village or the town start becoming sick, and they don't realize that what Data had and the box they opened that he had and these rocks or stones that he has are radioactive. And so he has to come up with a solution to try and help the people. A really good episode, a really heartfelt and sweet episode, I thought. Season 7, Episode 23, Emergence. Strange images begin appearing throughout the ship's decks and holodecks. Data and the rest of the crew begin to investigate, only to discover the ship's computer itself is exhibiting strange behavior as it begins to become self-aware. Yeah, that's always scary when computers become self-aware. That's what worries me about this new upcoming AI that people are talking about and that people are using these days. But this was a really fun episode, and it ties back into not only are the ship's decks and holodecks in trouble, but the whole Enterprise is in trouble because of these malfunctions and they have to get it corrected before ultimate destruction of the crew and the Enterprise. Season 7, Episode 25, All Good Things. Captain Picard finds himself shifting continually into the past, present, and future and must use that to discover a threat to humanity's existence. Really good episode. This is the final episode of Season 7 and is also the series finale of Star Trek The Next Generation. And what a way to end it. What an amazing 7-season run Star Trek The Next Generation had. 7 years of adventures with this amazing crew traveling in space on board the USS Federation Starship Enterprise NCC 1701D. So, yeah, I didn't enjoy all the episodes as much as these in Star Trek The Next Generation, but the majority of them all I really enjoyed. And that's why I have that DVD box set and why I have some of them on digital streaming that I bought, and more than likely, I'll probably get the box set of Blu-rays for Star Trek The Next Generation. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. So anyway, well, this is it. I hope you've enjoyed this video of my favorite episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. I know this was kind of a long video. I apologize for that. But if you haven't seen Star Trek The Next Generation, please, I implore you, give it a try. I think if you're a sci-fi fan, if you're even a Star Wars fan, or any kind of sci-fi fan, or just a fan of fantasy or space travel, I think you'll really enjoy this. So, yeah, that's it. I have enjoyed my time on board the USS Enterprise D and with this crew. So, I will say thank you all so much for watching. Good night. God bless. I love all of you, and I will see you all in the next video. And number one, engage.